The way that this will sort of work is we'll go through a bit of your background, like your childhood and your like sort of like a family tree. So essentially, like who's your mum and dad, and where'd you grow up, and
About my marriage.
yeah, yeah. We'll go through we'll go from your parents to you to any siblings to your sort of growing up, if you took on any professions, that sort of stuff, and then sort of having a family, and then like your marriage, your family, and stuff like that, and probably stop it around your kids, because like we at some point all your kids will sort of grow up to the point where we can do one of these with them if they want to. So we'll sort of stop around there, but we'll get a bit of an idea of what life looked like for you in 38. So now I always call you Marie.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's Nellie, isn't it?
But I don't use
I know you don't use Nellie.
Oh, well, I do at the bank and at the doctor, but that's
that's it. So you go, Marie Bannister. What's your maiden name? What were you born?
Adams.
Adams. Oh, of course, yeah, because Grandma Adams, yeah. I forget that. So, Bannister, any brothers and sisters?
Yep, 2 sisters and a brother.
Yeah.
Just put this on low.
You're right.
Yeah, lost my brother.
Lost your brother?
Yeah.
So
it was only 15 months between us, and he died 63 with.
Oh, but growing up. So he was at 63.
Oh, growing up.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm talking. So like as a child. So when you were born, who was the eldest?
I am.
You're the eldest? Okay. And you've got a brother and 2 sisters and a brother. So 15 months between you and your brother. I'm assuming he's the closest.
Yes.
Yep. What was his name?
Lindsay.
Lindsay, no worries. And your 2 younger sisters?
Golda and Christine, yeah.
Golda and
Christine. Younger.
A lot younger.
I was born before the war.
Yep.
They were born after the war.
Okay, so we're talking... So you were born 1938.
Yeah.
They were born... We're talking like 46.
Lindsay was in 1940.
1940.
Just when the war started, yeah.
Oh, okay. Lindsay was 1940. What about Golda and Christine?
Well, Golda's 9 years younger.
Okay, so that'd be 47.
And Christine's 12 years younger.
So what's that, 51, 52? No,
I think
because they're 38, 50. So 37, 50, roughly.
Yeah,
around
I actually haven't worked that out.
No, that's all right. So, yeah, more towards that end. So, you were born before the war kicked off. That would have made life a whole bit different. So, now, did you grow up with mum and dad both at home, or did dad go off to the war?
Grandparents.
And grandparents? Okay, so whereabouts were you born?
Coena Bend.
Coena Bend. Like, where's that?
It's the end of Passchendaele Avenue on the river.
Oh, so
keep going right down to the river.
In Mildura?
In Merbein.
In Merbein, okay. Yeah. No, that's what I mean. So you're born in Merbein?
Yes, I was born in Mildura base, but lived in Merbein.
Lived in Merbein, okay. Yeah. And the house, how many people were in the house living? Like
Too many. Mum, dad, grandma, grandpa, my auntie, who was a cripple.
So your mum, how old would your mum have been when she had you?
17.
17, okay, yep. So I'm just trying to get, because I know Grandma Adams is still alive at the moment, so she's 104 right now. Yeah. So, I didn't do the maths. So she was 17. Yeah.
It was a big no-no back then.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a big fight over which church they'd be married in.
Okay, so, and that was sort of, your mum got pregnant before they were married?
Yeah.
Yep, and then...
There's no photos.
Shotgun wedding?
There's no photos of mum and dad's wedding. The only ones I've got is dad and mum there at dad's brother's wedding.
Okay.
Mum was a matron of honour.
Which one? The one with the black...
Yeah, at the back there.
Do you mind if I get and show the camera?
No, that's...
okay? Yeah? Sweet.
Use it if you want to.
Yeah. Well,
and that was
I figure I'm probably not going to get a copy of it on digital copy.
That was taken when I was 1.
That was 1? Let's have a look. It's 1 year old.
Mum was about 18 there.
Yep. That's very nice. So.
Yeah, they had lovely...
Yeah.
Yeah, she just got she was married in a suit, but no photos.
Okay.
Big uproar.
So,
with
that would have been. So that's 1938. That would have been very, very away from the times. And getting married. So what sort of church did they end up getting married in?
Well, Dad was Church of England. Mum was a Lutheran.
Lutheran.
And
okay.
there was the fights between the parents.
Yeah.
So they just took off and got married in Methodist.
Methodist. Okay. Oh, gee, they kicked it with both.
They
of them.
didn't really care where they got married, but
Just
they
as long as they
weren't
got
going to say with that.
Yeah, they weren't going to choose one or the other. Yeah.
Two parents kicked up such a fuss
Yep.
that they said, right, we'll do what we want to do, and
Okay.
went off and got married on their own.
Fair enough. Yeah. That sounds like.
And they were always very, very close.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I forget what your mum's first name is again.
Mona
Mona. That's right.
Jean.
Yeah. Because I'm just trying to think who Audrey was, but Indy. No, Audrey might be on the other side of the family. I'm just thinking Indy's middle name. I think they named her after one of the family members, but I think that might have been on Ronald's side, not your side.
Yes,
so
it is.
Yeah. Okay. So Mona.
Yeah, it's Ronald's grandma's name, Lorna.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Indy Lorna.
Indy. Yeah. Audrey.
Yeah.
Audrey. Yeah.
Oh,
might be Lorna's
Audrey,
middle
yeah.
name, Audrey. So
Okay.
yeah. That's okay. I was just trying to
That
think.
was the great grandma, Audrey.
That must be, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to remember, I'm like, I couldn't remember if it had to do with Mona or it had to do with her mum or what side of the family
No, it was Freckleton.
Yeah. So, we've got a bit of an idea. Oh, what was your dad's name?
Pardon?
What was your dad's name?
Edward.
Edward. Yeah, sweet.
Known as Ted.
Ted. Okay. So, Ted Adams.
And Mona.
Mona Adams. Okay, yeah. Wow. Okay. Because, yeah, we never really... Because Mona's still alive,
I know.
we hear about her
She
and we
has
talk about her and
seen
stuff. Yeah.
so much in her life.
Yeah. But because Ted... How old was Ted when he...
65.
65. So, what
Mum's
was that
been
time?
a widow for 45 years.
45 years. Okay.
Died in 1980.
So, 1980. And you would have been around, what, 40 then? I can't remember. 1980,
When
38, 40,
Dad
yeah.
died, I would have been 38.
38 to 80, so
I'm
it's
not-
42?
Oh,
42, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
about that.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So 42 when your dad died.
Doug and Dad never got a chance to even see their grandchildren grow up.
Okay, yeah.
And now there's great-grandchildren,
Yeah.
which I'll never see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dad,
You got the, and Mona. You know, you both got the opportunity to see us, so.
yeah,
Yeah. So whereabouts? So you grew up in Merbein. So you born in Mildura base, but grew
Yep.
up in Merbein.
yep.
And
There was a fruit block on the river, an old house that Dad did up.
Yep.
And grandparents lived with us, and also my grandma's sister Hilda lived with us a lot too,
okay.
but she was a cripple.
Oh, okay. What like
Arthritic.
arthritic? Yeah, So
Yeah.
just couldn't walk or couldn't.
She ended up losing a foot.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there much that they could do
Oh,
back then
no.
for that? Like if
Not
you
like now.
No, well that's like if
She'd
you
just
had
take a Bex
Bex.
for the pain.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like an Aspro.
Yeah. So wait. Is Bex a current thing or back then?
Pardon?
An
Yeah,
Aspro.
yeah. Through the war, the soldiers were given lots of Bex.
What was a Bex? What?
It was a powder, and you just put it on your tongue and washed it down, and it was like a pain relief thing.
I'll have to search that up because
Bex.
I've heard about a few things around that time that we
Yeah.
used as pain relief.
That was all you
would
could
not-
get?
Yeah, would not pass as pain relief today. They won't let
No,
you go
probably
and get
not.
Yeah, there's some very special stuff they used to use back then.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. All right.
And
so,
they used to use a lot of. I take tonic water because it's got. What is it in it to help my cramps? It's written on the bottle.
in tonic water.
Yeah.
Like something to keep you hydrated, or is it? Something
No. It's a painkiller.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, you go.
I'll have a look at the bottle because it's in the fridge and it's on there. And I used to work for an old lady that still took it, and she was 100 when I worked for her. Where is it? Oh boy, I can't find it. See, I'll just come over here to the light. See if I can find it. It's got. So much writing on it, and not much information. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Contains natural quinine. Quinine.
Quinine.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what they used in the war too, quinine. For
Quinine.
pain. And
I
it's
know
what
that. I'll have to search that up.
the doctors used to give it to their patients for pain.
Quinine.
Quinine. And
Yeah.
it's a painkiller.
Okay. I'll give that a crack. Like, what was one of the things they used to get amphetamines when you got on an aeroplane if you were a bit afraid of heights? So they'd give you an inhaler that had amphetamines in there to calm you down. Like that stuff these days.
Was that a long time ago?
No, that was more.
60s, 70s?
Yeah, probably 70s.
80s?
Yeah. 70s, maybe 80s. I'd probably say more 70s or 60s from the photos that I've seen. I'm just thinking like people used to wear suits on the plane. And
yeah, there's only 1 mil in that, so.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to help cramps, but you'd probably need to drink half a bottle of it.
I can't.
But I take other stuff to help.
Yeah.
I get
course.
terrible cramps.
So, your dad didn't have to do anything within the war? Or did, like in terms of during the wartime? So, if they were about 17 when they had you,
Yeah.
and that's 38.
Dad wanted to go into the and he wanted to be a soldier.
Okay.
Badly wanted to because 2 of his brothers were.
Okay.
And when he got checked out, they said, you won't be able to march because of your ankles. And he's passed it on to me.
Oh, okay.
Fallen arches and ankles.
Fallen arches
and
ankles.
I've got to live in Brooks.
Well, I know that you've got your special shoes.
I have to wear these.
Yep.
When I go out, I can spend a few hours in other shoes, but as soon as I get home, these have got to go on.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, I'm in a lot of pain.
Okay.
So
okay,
Dad
so
had
a genetic thing he's passed.
Yeah, they said you wouldn't be able to march far enough, so they kicked him out, and he was very, very upset.
Well, that's what I heard.
While the others were away, he was looking after all the other families.
Yeah.
His own family and his brothers' families.
Well, that's what I was going to sort of link together is that I get that when you were born there were way too many people in the house, but a lot of blokes would have been away fighting in the war, so it would have been your dad and your granddad as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So your dad and your granddad, but none of your dad's brothers.
They come and went.
Okay.
When Uncle George got back from the war, Dad had a big washout, like a big shed, where Mum did the washing, and he petitioned a part off for Uncle George and his wife.
Okay.
And they had, she had a baby every 12 months. She was always pregnant, but she lost a lot of babies.
Yeah. Is that something?
And he was...
That was pretty common, wasn't it?
George Adams was an absolute bastard.
Okay. So George came back and he wasn't all right.
He sexually assaulted me a few times.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I have never forgotten. And when he died, I went, yay!
Fair enough. So
he was a mongrel.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Dad even paid a deposit on a block for him with a little home on it, and he wouldn't work it. He wouldn't do anything. Dad did it till Dad couldn't do it anymore.
Is that in?
And then Uncle George sold it and went to Robinvale.
Okay, so that was more like a block of land for.
No, it wasn't for a returned soldier.
No. I'm thinking for like working on in terms of like vines or something like that. Was it like a fruit block? Or
Yeah,
something?
It was grapes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
okay,
there was a house there.
Yep.
It was old, but it was better than where I lived.
Yeah. Okay.
And Dad helped him buy that.
Yeah.
And as soon as it was paid for, he sold it. Bought a house in Robinvale and went on government money.
Okay. So when he come back from the war, you said that his other half would be pregnant every 12 months, but she lost quite a few.
Auntie Lena, lovely, lovely person.
Yeah. Is that pretty common? Like how many?
Oh, yes.
How many did she have and how many did she lose?
She had... Ray was the oldest. He dropped dead when he was 40 with a heart attack.
Okay. That's a pretty good innings compared to infants.
Yeah. Janet, Shirley, and another girl. There was 4 girls and 1 boy.
Yeah.
And she had another little boy who had strep throat. He had something wrong with his throat. And I used to help Auntie Lena feed him with put a little hose thing down his throat.
A tube, yeah.
A tube,
yeah.
That's the word.
No, I could see you were searching for it, yeah.
Put a tube down into his stomach, but when he was 18 months, he passed away.
Okay.
He had a lot of things wrong with him.
Yeah. Was there much that, I suppose in this day and age we could have just done for him? Like, would he have probably?
Oh, he would have lived now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one thing I found out.
Oh yes,
more recently, like people are like, oh, you never want to bring a kid into the world in this day and age. I'm like, well, kids live in this day and age.
That's
more
exactly
consistently.
right.
Like
He had no top of his mouth inside was vacant, nothing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he had a big hair lip.
Yep.
And he was very, very poor. Like, he was very frail. And
yeah,
and
probably malnourished, like undernourished, and couldn't really put much into him by the sound of it anyway. So.
Yeah, and Auntie Lena actually dropped dead on the bowls court in Robinvale, on the bowls lawns, when she was about 59, 60.
Okay.
She had a hell of a life with him.
You said that George was about 40. No. Auntie Lena's son, the eldest son, he was about 40.
Yeah, Alec.
He was 40, but Lena dropped dead at 59.
59.
59, yep.
Yeah.
And then what about what about your other, what would they be, aunties and uncles? No, first cousins. But yeah.
Their children were cousins, yeah.
Yep. So what were...
Ray, his name was Ray, not what I said. Ray Adams was their son.
Yep.
Yeah, and they had 5 girls.
Yep.
And his girls hated him.
Okay.
Absolutely hated him.
Okay.
He was a monster.
So there was George and Ray. So Ray was his son.
Yeah. Dad had 2 sisters.
Yeah.
And 4 brothers.
Yeah. And all 4 went off to the war, or only?
No. Uncle Curly, they wouldn't take him. Dad's oldest brother.
Yep.
Uncle Ellis. And he was a truckie. And he had his 40th birthday, and he was coming back from Melbourne in the truck, and one of his mates had broken down, and he stopped and helped him, and he got a cold, and then he got pneumonia. Was in hospital.
Yep.
He was getting better, and then he had a heart attack and died.
Okay.
He was Dad's oldest brother.
Okay.
Then there was Dad next.
Yep. And then the 3 younger ones then? So you had...
Is this going in?
Yeah. So who's who in the zoo sort of thing? Like it's yeah.
So you're taking this now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since,
I thought you were just getting ready to.
No. You're right.
Dad did a lot for his brothers.
Yep.
And to make us a long story short was Grandma came out from England when she was 6 with her 2 brothers and her sister.
Yep.
And she met Jim Adams, a bushie.
Okay. Yep.
And she was
what's a bushie?
A rough bloke.
Okay, yeah.
Really
so I wasn't
rough
sure
bloke.
if that was like he
Jim
had a
Adams, a
particular
rough
profession.
bloke. He'd never had any education.
Okay.
He was not very clever.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
Grandma had the brains, but she also had a lot of children and a few miscarriages.
Okay. Yep.
And she was a red-headed English girl with very fair skin.
Okay. Oh yeah, not too great in the Mildura weather. That'd burn up pretty quickly.
I'll never forget how she said, I never should have married him. He's not a nice man. And what happened, Granddad used to hit Grandma.
Okay.
Knock her down. If she didn't do it, he said.
Okay.
So when Dad was about 13, 14, he was learning boxing.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was strong and he was a good athlete. And he said one day Granddad went to hit Grandma, and Dad jumped in front of him and said, "Have a go at me."
Yeah.
And he backed off. Then, when Mum and Dad got married and wanted to go to their own home, Grandma said, "Wherever Ted goes, I go."
Okay.
So Granddad would have been left there on his own.
Yeah.
And he was getting old.
Yeah.
And the rest of the family hated Dad because of it. Jealousy.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That does make a lot more sense.
Yes.
So, but you said that both, like, your mum and dad lived at the home.
Yeah.
And your dad's mum and dad, like your grandmother and grandfather lived at the home as well. Or was that your mum's mum and dad?
No, not Mum's great parents.
No, it was your dad's parents?
Yeah, it was just my dad's parents.
Yeah. So both of them moved. So even though like your dad's mum said that she'd move, if wherever Ted went, she went.
Yeah.
Still.
So they stayed.
Okay.
And it was just a really tiny little house. It was actually whitewashed walls.
Okay.
They used to have, those days, they didn't have what they have now. And they used to get thick hessian and dip it in whitewash.
Okay.
And it'd make it thicker.
Okay.
And windproof. And they built their houses with that. My bedroom had a dirt floor.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Your bedroom in 1938 had a dirt floor.
Well,
There you
it would have been about 40, 45 by then.
Okay.
That I can remember.
Yeah,
I
okay.
would have, but I can't remember that far back.
There you go. No, but that's something which is interesting in itself.
Yeah.
Like, and that's...
So there was a lot of jealousy, and Dad's oldest sister, Lorna Homer, she said that Mum and Dad had to go. They couldn't stay there. But Mum nursed them, both of them.
Okay.
And Grandpa used to sit in the shed, and he had a hole in the ground with a big drum in it, and he just drank brandy all day.
Okay.
So he had diarrhoea night and day.
Okay.
My mum was the one that had to do all that.
Yes. Okay.
And nobody in the family would help her. No one.
What, are you saying just empty the drum or like...
No, no one would give Mum a day off.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mum had that every day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, okay.
24/7.
Yeah.
Till he died. And when he died, of course, Dad was left the property because Dad did it all.
Yeah.
Planted it all.
Was there any sort of, like in terms of being left the property, was there any sort of order of things where...
Dad had to pay the others money.
Okay, so you got to keep that, and it was worth a bit, but his four brothers and...
Yeah, well, Uncle Curly had died.
Yeah, oh, that's right, so 3 brothers.
He had 3 brothers.
Yeah. And was there a sister?
2 sisters,
Two sisters, yeah.
His oldest sister and a younger one, Auntie Joyce was the youngest.
Yeah, okay, so pay out all of them or just the brothers? Or?
They all got money. I think back then it was like £1,000.
Okay.
And that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Dad mortgaged everything. And the bank loaned him the money to pay it.
Okay.
And then when Granddad did die, Auntie Lorna went to court in Melbourne to see a judge and took all the paperwork down there, and they were going to take Dad to court. And the fella in Melbourne said, don't waste your time, it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Yeah.
Because he was very good mentally, Granddad.
Okay, yeah. So he
and
had
they
done
knew
everything
that.
right, yeah.
They knew that.
Yeah.
But Auntie Lorna wanted it to be sold and split that up.
Okay.
But it was only about 10 acres then.
Yeah.
And it ended up being 100 acres because Dad just kept...
Oh, buying more and more and expanding. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, the block from the end of Passionale Avenue to the river was about 12 acres. And then over the road, land came available and Dad planted that all up. Yeah. Then the land behind that came available. And when my brother got married, Dad built him a lovely new house. And I can remember Dad saying he wasn't very happy that it cost £8,000 to get the power. Lindsay's house was right back off the road. To get electricity from the road to his house cost £8,000.
Jeez. Yeah, that's mental.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of difference there.
Yeah, a lot.
So what's happened with all that land? So like...
Well, Lindsay died and his wife's got it.
That was
that was his property. Dad gave him that property and built him a house.
Okay. So
girls didn't get anything back then.
Well, and that's sort of why... That's
he was an only son.
That's where before when I was asking about whether or not your dad paid out just the brothers or the brothers and the sisters. Like
all of them.
So they all got everything, but when it went down another level, only your brother got the inheritance.
He was an only son, so he got everything done for him.
Okay.
He was more an athlete than a blocky.
Okay.
So then my father said to Doug, with the 100 acres here now, if you come in, Dad had a heart attack and he also had bad lungs.
Okay.
And he said to Doug, my husband, who was an A-grade mechanic, and he was working in Mildura. We had an old car every day, and I worked in a little shop in the city.
Okay. Yeah.
And we did that for about 4 years after we got married. Then I had Linda. Yeah. And one day Dad said he couldn't work. He could sit in the tractor and drive that and do things, but he couldn't do manual heavy work.
Okay, yeah.
So he said to Doug, we'll come in as a partner.
Okay.
So then it was owned by Dad, Lindsay, and my husband and I.
Yeah.
But my brother didn't work. He wouldn't work.
Okay.
And
that's where Doug was obviously working on it.
He did.
And that was the 100 acres, and that was the Vines.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Then Dad gave Lindsay his 40 acres and the house.
Yep.
And then Doug and I bought the other land, 38 acres, at the end of Passchendaele Avenue.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was a little house there that we did up.
Okay.
Dad sold it to us, the
Okay,
little
so
house.
that's... Okay, well, I get that your brother got 40 acres, but I was thinking that he got the 100 acres.
No.
Based on the way you were saying before, it sounded like he got all 100 acres.
Eventually,
so you guys got 40, but you had to pay for it.
Yes.
But you did a house up on there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
A small house that was 4 rooms, laundry outside, toilet outside, bathroom outside. Okay. And eventually we, as our family came along, we made it really nice and we connoited it outside.
Okay. Yep.
And I had a lovely garden. And the 3 oldest girls grew up. They had their licences when we sold the block. Mm-hmm. And what happened was Doug's health wasn't amazing. He had bad lungs too. Because blockies back then went out and sprayed in shorts and a hat, boots and socks.
Yeah, yeah.
And a singlet.
Yeah, and they didn't know probably what the chemicals did either.
And
so, yeah.
back there when Dad was doing it first, it was arsenic. And Doug had come home from spraying and I'd get the hose and hose him.
Okay, fair enough. But that's already in your skin though at that point. Like if it's been sitting on your
lungs.
skin.
Yeah. Lindsay, Dad, and Doug all died of lung cancer.
Yeah. Okay.
And Dad died of heart and lungs.
Yeah, I remember you saying you had the heart.
Yeah, but it was the life on the block. We loved it. We loved it. Okay. But as Doug got older and his lungs worried him a lot, he started drinking.
Okay. Yeah.
And it just went on and on. The work wasn't getting done. I was trying to do it all on my own.
Yeah.
And anyway, one day we had a bit of a row. And I said, I'm taking the kids and leaving you or sell the block. He said, we'll sell the block.
Okay.
And we sold it, paid all our debts. Nice. We still owed Dad $15,000 off the block.
Okay.
And we owed the bank $60,000 for water and drainage and everything.
Keeping everything running.
Yeah. And we bought a house, a lovely house, big house. And by that time, Linda was married, but we still had the other 3.
Okay, yep.
And they bought a beautiful home in 16th Street.
All right. Well, let's go back to before. Like, so you'd met Doug. How'd you meet Doug?
We used to go on a school bus to school, and there was this fella there that always took my brother's cap off him. Okay. And his name was Doug Bannister. Okay. And I used to get so mad with him. He'd take it off Lindsay and he'd throw it out the window when the bus stopped to let him off, to let us off. Okay. And he was just a teaser. Yeah, and I actually said to him, when we joined the MYF, it was a big group of us, and we all sort of paired off.
MYF, Merbein.
Yeah, Merbein Youth Group.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, nice. I was going to say
Methodist Youth Group.
Methodist Youth Group. Okay, yeah.
Well,
Mum
back
got
then,
married in the Methodist church. Yeah.
Back then, we were allowed to have dances.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah.
And all the young ones go to the dance, and I couldn't dance. Okay. So who taught me? Doug Bannister.
Wow. Okay. So the naughty teaser boy was the one who taught you how to dance. Okay.
And then after a while, I went out with 2 other boys, and that wasn't going to work. And then Doug partnered me for a ball. Okay. And after that, we stayed together.
Okay. Nice. There you go. So now the bus to school. Where'd you go to school?
West Merbein.
Okay, so
and
you're
the
still in
school
Merbein,
is not there now, which I am angry. We're all angry about it. They tore it down. It's government land, and it's just sitting there.
Did they tear down the school because it had like asbestos and all that sort of stuff?
No.
Okay.
No, they were.
So Merbein West School. Where was that?
It's on the railway, along the railway line, Passchendaele Avenue, and what street is that? There was a little shop there too. Okay. Passchendaele Avenue, and when you get the railway line, the school's back here a bit.
So, Merbein West, is that like where they've got the mushroom farm and stuff now?
No.
Is that Merbein West, or what's that? Where's that? That's Merbein South, isn't it?
It's where the railway line is in Passchendaele Avenue.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the school was across the road.
Where that big sleeping bend is.
Yes.
Yeah.
The school was there.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, I reckon I've driven past.
And you know what? I trained all the girls netball there. Yeah. My kids were always in netball teams, and I was president 2 years, in the youth.
Well, there's some stuff.
Parents.
Okay, so after you'd met Doug, actually, what did you do? How old were you when you met Doug? Like when you started seeing Doug?
Oh, 17, 18.
Okay, so were you doing any work before then?
I did orange picking, grape packing,
Yep.
grape picking.
Okay, so working
because I didn't have a car and we were 5 miles from Merbein.
Yeah, and you had a...
And I didn't have any learning of anything. I wanted to be... I would like to have had a garden.
Okay.
Something to do with gardens.
Yeah.
But there wasn't opportunities.
Okay.
So the neighbours employed me both sides and down the road.
Yeah.
Packing fruit, picking oranges, all sorts of...
Okay, so still
outside
labour
work.
intensive.
It was hard work.
Yeah. Okay, so picking and packing oranges and grapes and that.
Yeah.
Okay, and after you'd met Doug, what did you like? So how old were you before you started doing other things? And before you started?
Well, I was 21 and Doug was nearly 23 in 1960 when we got married.
Yeah.
And we didn't want a child straight away because we were still doing the old house up. And we didn't have any money either.
And you said Doug was a qualified mechanic.
Yeah, he was.
And was that his first thing that he went into?
Yeah, he did apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship with that? Okay.
Yep.
And then for you, was there any other work you said you were involved in
I
the
was still
netball club
helping neighbours with the grapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about like volunteering or like you said the netball club, but that was more for Linda and the girls,
the
other girls. But was there anything that you were doing between like when you were doing all the grape picking and then the packing and all that sort of stuff?
I was raising kids.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But I made the same assumption with my grandmother. I'm like, oh, you're raising the kids. She's like, no, I did this and I did this. And
I did a lot.
Yeah. So
later on, after Doug died, I worked 16 years at an op shop.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Red Cross, wasn't it? Or
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So.
I was in a choir.
Okay. Well, what about when you said with the netball with the girls?
Yeah.
Was there anything else like that? Like, because that wasn't just like helping to coach. That was president of the netball club. Is that what you said?
No, I was president of the parents' club.
The parents' club. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry.
For 2 years, and I had Samantha the second year.
Okay.
And
that would have been hard.
It was difficult because the school broke up. The school breakup was on the 18th of December, and she was born on the 22nd.
Yeah.
And I'd stand up there and give a speech.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not doing it next year.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Because she was a fourth child.
Okay, so you had Linda, and then after Linda, was it Anne, and then Jane?
Anne came along 2 years and 3 months later. Then Jane 2 years and 3 months later.
Yeah.
And Samantha was 5.5 years.
5.5 years
between Jane and Samantha.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they all went to Merbein school?
They went to Merbein West and then Merbein High.
Merbein High, okay, yeah. And that's sort of where Merbein High is located now, roughly?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I just knew that was sort of a whole, that's been 2 separate schools and then joined up. And yeah.
But Samantha, being the youngest, was way behind the others.
Yeah.
When we sold, she was in grade 4.
Okay, yeah.
And I enrolled her at Orimple South.
Okay, yeah.
And because she had left all her friends behind, she didn't like it at all. But she eventually settled.
Fair enough.
Settled into it eventually.
And year 4, then she's got a couple of years of Mildura South Primary and then going to a high school
she
anyway.
Had 2.5 years at Orimple South.
Yep.
Then she went to Mildura High.
Okay, yep, nice. So just trying to sort of keep track of where we're up to. I think that's pretty much...
Yeah.
Like, between the kids, between you, between Doug, sisters, dad, that's pretty much it. So.
Yeah. Doug was a very good father.
Oh, yeah.
But he was always work.
Yeah.
And the trouble was he was working 7 days a week when we're in partnership. And I could see it wasn't going to work because Dad couldn't do
Doug
much.
And your brother and Dad, yeah.
Dad couldn't do much.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting much out of it either. Really.
Well, that was it. Yeah, it sounds like I know that grapes now can be a lot of work and not a lot of return.
Well, on my 40th birthday, rain wiped us all out, rain and hail. So
because you're in December as well, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, December's not a good time to get.
It was actually the 13th
rain.
of December, and we got wiped out with hail.
Yeah.
And what grapes were left went mouldy because of the heavy, lots of rain.
The rain, and then you probably would have had heat.
Well, that year we had no income.
Yeah.
So we just went out and found jobs. Doug was working at the sawmill. I
Well, that would have been close by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't good for him with his lungs.
With
It was in the sawdust.
All the dust and yep.
And I just worked where I could get jobs. Like Doug's cousin, Len, had a property in Fifth Street. And I used to drive over there and pack grapes all day there till it was time to pick up the kids from school.
Yeah.
And I'd drop them at school and keep going.
Yeah. That's limiting how much time you can do. But also packing grapes as well. If everybody's grapes were destroyed, then that wouldn't have been much work. You would have been competing. Was there always work going? Like in terms of the amount of people? Always.
Len Bannister just couldn't keep workers. Yeah. You know, they'd do it for a while and then get sick of it.
Okay.
But yeah, he was selling a lot of fruit.
Okay.
He was one of Doug's cousins. But we loved the life on the block. But as soon as we left the block, I went straight into council with a job.
Okay.
With home care.
Wait, council.
And Doug stayed at the mill, which was the worst thing he could have done.
Okay. So he didn't go back to being a mechanic or anything like that afterwards. He just stayed.
Well, once it became electrical, he wasn't qualified. He was a mechanic back when there was no electrical.
No electrics in the car. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But then everything went electrical.
Yeah.
And he didn't have the quality of it. He couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really good at doing a grease and oil change and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, like working on the actual engine, but not all the little peripheral stuff like your blinkers and that.
So he would have liked to have gone back to it, but he would have had to done a lot more study. For it. But yeah, we were happy till we didn't cope anymore. Yeah, it was too hard. Yeah, but the best thing we ever did was sell it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's it. You sold that.
No debt left.
Where did you say you moved to?
Orimpole in
was it like 16th Street or something?
16th Street.
Yeah, Chrissy's talked about 16th
Street.
Yeah, 16th Street. Before. Yeah, yep.
That's where we were. Yep. Beautiful big home.
Yep. I think we actually saw that house up for sale the other month. Big yard. Big
shed.
I was looking through different houses and Chrissy's like, I recognise that house. And she's like, I know those floors. And so she said that was the old house that you used to live at.
The garden's not as nice now.
No. Was it on the corner of a block? Was it
No, it was nearly on a corner, but not quite. There was another 2 or 3 houses. And then there was the road, Mildura Avenue, around the corner. Yeah, okay. For us. But we weren't far from the channel and the...
So you moved into town and then got jobs. You said council in home care?
Yeah, I did home care for 8 years. And then my boss said to me, would you like to study special? And I said, too right, I would. So I did 10 weeks learning all sorts of things. How to shower people, how to use a wheelchair, how to help people breathe and all that.
So that's sort of like a nursing home sort of care, but in their own home rather than going to.
It was a fantastic job, except I lost so many people.
Oh yeah, that was
a 6-year-old little girl. Yeah, and those people
palliative care
are 2 of my best friends still.
Oh, yes, yeah, I reckon.
Amy died when she was 6 with Batten's disease.
Yeah,
and then Sue, the mother.
Yeah, I remember
Bruce and Sue.
Yeah.
Had another child and it was Batten's disease and it was at 5 months she had to deliver. Yeah, and then she had another one, the same again.
Okay.
Batten's disease. She's my hero, Sue.
Oh, okay.
She's the one person in my life who I think she is the most amazing lady. Yeah. What she's been through. Yeah. And then Bruce said, and they had one child. They had Rebecca. Mm-hmm. And we learned all about this. Batten's disease. Yep. If the chromosomes at conception don't match. Yep. And that's what has to match at conception. Yep. There's a black spot grows in the brain. Okay. And it devours the brain. Okay. Yep. So imagine a little happy 20 months old little girl, brown eyes, beautiful little child, like a grandchild she was to me. Yeah. Slowly lose everything.
Losing everything, yeah.
Lost everything except she could still hear.
Okay, yeah.
And I went there every second day, weekends and everything. Yeah. Another girl went the other days. And I'd just walk in the door and say to Sue, right, out. Yeah. I'm here now.
Yep.
And I'd look after Amy.
Okay.
And she cried a lot. And the doctor said she had a headache, of course.
Fair enough, yeah.
So the only way I could stop her crying was get in the rocking chair and just sing little songs to her. And she'd eventually go to sleep.
Okay.
As soon as I stopped rocking, she'd wake up.
Straight back up.
And you know what?
Yeah.
The day she died, Sue rang me and she said, Marie, she's only got a few hours to live. She's got pneumonia. Would you like to say goodbye to her? And I said, yes, I would. Yeah, and I did.
That's good you managed to get in time.
I gave her a hug and a kiss and said goodbye to her.
Yeah.
And it was the hardest thing I ever did my whole life, apart from losing my grandson.
Yeah. I was going to say that'd be
Those
up there.
two things affected my life.
Yeah.
But then I had older people with cancer, and I had one old man who was nearly blind, and I had all these beautiful, beautiful people.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I learnt a lot.
Oh, you would.
I learnt so much.
Yeah.
And the bereavement
Yeah.
counselling that I had to teach me was used a lot.
I was going to say that'd be very helpful, especially with some of the stuff that you've been through.
So I did that for 9 years.
Yeah.
8 years with the housework and 9 years with a special, and then my shoulder went on me.
Okay. Yeah. So
My left shoulder, I couldn't lift things.
sort of takes it out of you.
Yeah, I was about 58 by then.
Okay. All right. So that wasn't too long ago.
No.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, and a lot of those people I worked with, I'm still friends with.
Like in terms of the people, the out-of-home care people, or like their parents, or their... Like I know that Sue is the parent of an out-of-home care person.
Amy.
But outside of Sue, like the other people that you're still working with...
Some of them are gone now.
Okay. Do you mean like your colleagues though? Like are there other people that you worked at the council? That
A couple of girls.
With?
Diane Real and I were close because we both worked with Amy.
Okay, yeah. And then who else are you still close with that you used to take care of?
Well, they've all died.
Well, that's, yeah.
Alice, Henderson. At the airport, she was a sick old lady. Yep. I worked with her for years.
Yep.
And her husband, Ben, was a lovely old man. And when I'd go there, she'd get me to make her a cake. She lost the use of her hands.
Oh, okay.
She couldn't, I mean, the arthritic plus a lot of other things.
Okay. Yep.
And I'd walk in the door and she'd say, Marie, would you please make me a cake and a beer packet mix? But I'd make that for her, and then she'd say, come out on the veranda, I want you to help me with the... She used to hang all the plastic bags up on a big long line, all the empty plastic bags. She washed them and hung them on a line.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
And she, when I told her I was leaving work, she gave me a little box. And she said, don't let Ben see this. They were given to me by a previous boyfriend.
Okay.
Do you believe it was 2 really quite valuable rings?
Okay.
And that's the last time I saw her.
Ah.
And I took them to the... I actually went back there and said, I can't accept these. She said, well, if you don't, I'll just throw them out. She had one daughter who she didn't get on with.
Okay. Yeah.
And one of them was worth $500 and the other was worth $550.
Okay, nice. That's, yeah.
And
yeah.
I have worn them.
Yeah.
But I'll give them to my granddaughters.
Yeah. Oh.
See, people back then, they really got close to you.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
And my boss used to say, don't fraternise with the enemy.
Oh,
like,
in terms
don't get too close because you can get hurt.
You're probably going to lose a lot of them as well.
Well,
I know that in palliative care here, it's like if you know, your job is to take care of people who are at the end, and it's like, that's going to suck. But at the same time, they might as well have a pleasant, while they can, have as pleasant as it could be.
Yes.
But you're probably going to lose them. So
There's a lot of stories I could have told about some of my patients, some of my clients that I went to. The old lady that had lung cancer was a strict Catholic.
Okay.
And she used to have the priest call every week.
Every week, okay, yeah.
And she had this little room with a curtain across. And the priest would come in the front door and they'd go straight in there. There was a little table and 2 chairs. And they'd drink a whole bottle of wine. Both of them drink this bottle of wine.
Why? That doesn't make sense.
And I'd say, And when he'd go,
Yeah.
she'd be quite tipsy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, after a bottle of wine.
Yeah, they both sat there, drank this wine.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
When I was there.
It sounds like the priest might have been a bit more of a mate than
I think
strict
so.
Catholic. So,
yeah, that old lady eventually had to go into special care.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
she was...
that's what you say, that you started off in general care and then you went into special care.
Yes,
Special care was more... Was that more like palliative care?
Terminal. I had
care,
3 spina bifida boys at Cardross who weren't terminal.
Okay.
But they were
high level.
couldn't do much.
Yeah, that needed a lot of help.
A lot.
Yeah.
And one of them was an asthmatic, and I used to bang his back
to loosen up all this. Yeah, I used to have that as a kid.
Sort
I
of
used
things.
to get all the phlegm and stuff on me, and Mum used to have to hit me back.
2 little girls with cystic fibrosis.
Yep.
Both died.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was a marriage gone over that.
Yeah, that's one thing. I've wondered how people survived that.
I'm still very good friends with the father, with Greg.
Okay.
Greg Butcher.
Yep.
I see him occasionally. Yep. His wife just walked out on him.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the things, like doing the course and stuff, finding out how
she's
people
the one
deal
who
with that.
couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
He handled it better.
Yeah.
And that's very unusual. It's usually the other way around.
Well, it depends on what you mean by handling it as well.
Well,
some people just, like just shut off to it.
Yeah, well, she'd leave as soon as I got there.
Yeah.
But he would be in for lunch and see me and, talk to me. But the girls were at school then, but they had to have a lot of physio. And I had to do physio on them. And the oldest one died when she was 15. The other one got to 21.
Okay, that's pretty decent. No, that wasn't spina bifida. Which one was that?
No, that was cystic fibrosis.
Cystic fibrosis.
That was the lung.
Yeah.
And they're born with it.
There was something you said earlier that when you said Doug stayed at the sawmill.
Yeah, he worked there.
What year did you said you sold the farm?
Oh, gee, what year?
And that was in the 60s? Linda,
no,
you said Linda had
it was in the early 70s when we sold the farm.
Okay. So
I should write a book.
Jane
gave me that 2 years ago at Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's got all the questions.
Okay.
I can't answer a lot of them. But
that'd be some pretty decent stuff.
I have done a lot of writing in that.
Yeah.
But there's still lots of pages not written on.
Yeah. The reason why I was bringing up when you sold the house was that would have been smack bang in the middle of the Vietnam War. No, it would have been you would have done it at the end of the Vietnam War.
Probably.
Yeah.
So when was that? When was that, Brad?
55 to 75.
Yeah, it was around about 75.
Yeah, 65 was when Aussies went in.
I have got it written down somewhere.
Yeah. So it was 1965 was when Australian troops got involved. But 65 you would have been, 27?
I was 27.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's smack bang when, most of your memories are sort of built in your 20s to 30s and those sort of things. So
Linda was born in 62.
Yeah.
Anne in 64.
Yeah.
Jane in 66. And Samantha in 71.
Yeah. So the Vietnam War didn't affect you guys at all? Or how that, like in Mildura, there wasn't...
No, not really.
Okay.
Not here.
Well, that's like I've seen... Same idea. Learning about stuff, I've seen, people go on to protests and all this
Oh,
sort of
there were a
stuff
lot
in
of that.
Sydney. Yeah.
But mainly in the big cities.
Well, that's what I'd seen. It's
yeah, not so much here.
Okay, sweet. No, I wasn't sure if it affected out here at all, like how widespread it was and whether or not people were annoyed at it or whether or not they were like your dad and really wanted to go. And
he did. He was broken-hearted.
Yeah. So,
but then he looked after his sister-in-laws and his brothers as well as his own.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's fair enough. Like if you don't get one job, you get the other. The other probably doesn't seem as heroic, like I know that's a big thing is like going off and fighting for your country.
Oh, he used to lump big bags of wheat. He used to go out bush and get stumps and bring them in and sell them and go out the bush and get logs and bring them home, cut them up into little small bits and sell it. He used to do everything. He had a lot of work in Melbourne. And he was away a lot when I was a baby, working in the city. Getting
from here to Melbourne, like that takes about 6 hours now. I imagine that would have taken quite a bit longer.
His little old Chevy would take all day to get there.
Okay, so you'd still get there in a day though, which is decent, yeah.
And he used to write letters.
Okay.
And I've got some of them.
You still got some?
Mum gave them to me.
Okay. That's
How's my darling little bub? That was me.
Well, that's probably one of the things is like technology. I'd probably say that like letters is something which you really don't get letters very often now.
I've got all Doug's love letters too.
Ah.
I've got all them. Got all
Wait,
those.
love letters. Didn't you like?
Mum gave me hers of Dad. Dad wrote.
Yeah. So that was one. That was a real common thing. You'd have to sit down. You'd have to write something. And didn't you live like just up the road from each other? Or where did Doug live when
He
when
lived in Fifth Street and I lived in down on the river.
Yeah. So how far is that? Like
It was
as
about
far as,
6 miles.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's a fair bit.
He
But
used
like,
to ride the bike to see me before he got a car.
Okay, that's dedication.
It was dedication.
That's definitely dedication.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd catch the bus up on the highway, and he'd bring his bike and meet me there.
Yeah.
And when we got back, he'd walk me down to the house, and then go back and get on his bike and ride home.
That's Okay, so he had to be serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he was
see why you
serious.
stuck with him.
He really
didn't
was.
mess around.
Yep.
So, but that was the thing. So love letters and stuff is like, I could imagine that makes more sense to me with your dad. Like if he was away in, your dad went to Melbourne a fair bit, was it?
Oh, he worked in Melbourne for years.
That made sense to me because if you're in Melbourne, you'd send a letter in the post back to home to see with everybody. But Doug sending love letters to you, like, was he ever that far away that that's what he was doing? Or
Well,
was it just
when I was 17, and we were going pretty steady by then, I went on a tour to Tasmania with 3 other girls. There was 4 of us.
Yep.
2 of them I hadn't met till then, and one of them I'm still writing to. And I was 17, she was 19.
Okay.
I'm now 86,
Yeah.
and I've just had a letter from Evelyn.
So you're still writing letters at the moment to her?
Evelyn's husband died. He got to 90.
Okay.
And he used to come here and play golf, and she'd come and stay with me for the day
Yeah.
while he was playing golf.
Yeah.
So we got to know each other very well. But the love letters that Doug wrote me was when I was away.
Okay, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, you guys only live 6 miles apart. Like, writing love letters seem much more like
I got letters in Tassie.
Yeah.
And then when I worked out on the farm with my auntie, big wheat farm, Moringa.
Okay, yeah.
She would give me work to do out there.
Yep.
Like changing the sheets on the boys' beds and sweeping and cleaning and helping her cook.
Housework sort of.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
And I'd stay up there in the school holidays and she'd pay me. He was writing me letters then.
Okay, that makes sense to me. That's a lot more,
My goodness.
But he sent you letters while you were in Tasmania.
Yeah.
Did you stay in Tasmania for a long time there? Or like
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Some of the letters I got when I got home.
I was going to say, like, they'd have to get there and then go, oh, she's not still here and turn around. But how did he get... Do you in the one place the whole time? Or how did he figure out where you were? Because you didn't have a mobile phone. And you couldn't just send a message to be like, oh, where are you at today? Because I'll send you something. Or where are you going to be in a couple of weeks? You had to plan that a long time in advance to where he's going to send it.
Well,
So
I was only there about 4 days and I got a letter.
Yeah, so he would have been sending you one. That would have been the day you left that he would have had to send it.
To the bus lines. It went to the bus lines.
Okay.
But another time I was away, I can't remember where I was. Oh, I used to go to Melbourne and stay with an uncle in school holidays sometimes. But I didn't. I wasn't going with him then. I was at school.
When you were in Tasmania, though, how did he know where to send it? Or how did they know how to find you?
Well, the bus driver always collected the mail for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you would just get So the bus driver would go to a wide...
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's
I
like
can't
if he's sending it to you...
remember how I got it.
Yeah.
Really can't remember.
No, that's fine. It's
but
very
anyway,
though. Like you had to...
Anytime I was away, he wrote to me.
Yeah. Well, I just knew that even when I was a kid, like having to plan, so I didn't like not having a mobile phone, having to plan on what time you were going to call somebody, but you'd call the landline phone and you have to be ready to pick up the landline at that time. Because like if I was going to call a girl at the age of 12 or something like that, the last thing I want is for her dad to pick up the phone rather than her. So you'd be setting it up all day, and by the bus is like, okay, I'm going to call you at 4:07. Don't let anybody else, stand by the phone. But that's even more planning ahead as well. It's like you need to know. You couldn't just search something up on your phone.
Well, we had one of those phones that hung on the wall and hooked up on the top.
Yeah.
It sat up the top.
Was that where you had to, you pick up your phone, you'd ask the operator?
36D.
36D.
Yeah.
That was your.
That was the phone number where I lived.
36D.
Yeah.
That's a whole phone number.
Yeah.
That's it's not like an 040
no,
or anything like
no.
that. It's just 360. There's
I
not
can
many phones
remember
around.
that.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
What else? I'm looking at some of the stuff on here. See if you remember any of these things. Like we've been chatting for a bit, but see if you remember any of these things and tell me what you. construction of the Sydney Opera House. That finished up in 73.
No, I wasn't interested in.
First Man in Space, 61. Yeah.
I remember that.
Introduction of decimal currency in Australia. So going from pounds to dollars.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
That was pretty easy.
That was, wasn't too much of an issue.
No, no, I got used to that quickly.
Moon landing in 69.
Yeah. We didn't have a TV.
So how'd you go about, like, where were you? Like, what was when the moon landing happened? What was that for you?
When we got married, we didn't have much money at all. Doug wasn't earning big money. And we were paying Dad £1 a month off the house.
Okay. Yeah.
The old house that we bought off him.
Yeah.
We bought the house first before we bought the vines.
Fair enough.
When we got married, that house had been bashed down by bad people that were renting it.
Okay. Yeah.
And they just took off and left all the rubbish and smashed doors and walls and God knows what. And Dad said you can buy it like it is for $15,000.
Okay.
And the land that it was on.
15,000 in the 60s?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't know if that was the right price or not, but anyway, he helped us a lot, Dad.
Okay.
When he could.
Yeah.
Like he let Doug have a tractor for his block and everything like that. And he helped a lot of small ways. But I've gone off the track now.
That's all right in terms of not having too much money. Being in the moon landing.
Yeah, so my mum turned 40 and I gave her a birthday party in our house. And Mum's sister and 2 brothers came. And Uncle Mal, Mum's youngest brother, he was in the war.
Okay.
And he had a few issues with health and that.
Okay. Yeah.
And they came to my place and the Test cricket was on. And we didn't have a TV.
Okay.
And Uncle Mal said, "Where's your TV?" And I said, "We don't have one." "What? Everybody's got a TV. How ridiculous. Haven't got a TV?" I said, "No, but we've got 3 children." And
that's entertaining.
He was so angry that Mum had to tell him to shut up.
Oh, okay.
And he was mad because we never had a TV. And he wanted to watch the Test.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah, and Auntie Jean and Mum's other brother, Uncle Ron, said, "Behave yourself. Doug and Marie buy things when they can afford them, and they don't put things on lay-by."
Yeah, well, I've noticed that. You manage your money very well.
Yeah, so I never ever had anything on lay-by.
Yep.
Nothing.
No,
if we couldn't afford it, we didn't have it.
Yep. No, fair enough. So that would have just been. Did you listen to it on the radio or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We had a little radio.
Yeah. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. I can remember it. I wish I still had it. It was that sort of cream plastic. It's like plastic, but it's not.
One of the curved.
Yeah.
The cream ones are about
I wonder what happened to it.
They recently did it. Who used to make them? You know, like the Smeg fridges, like the big Smeg fridges, and they'd make the radio to match the fridge, like that sort of style.
I know someone who's still got one of those fridges.
They remade them recently. They sort of like a bit of a throwback look. They did radios that looked like.
And we had a record player.
Yeah.
And we used that a lot too.
Okay. Yeah. So there's still plenty of music and stuff around the house.
Yeah.
I think
music.
Yeah.
Music
would have
to
been
me is so important.
Yeah. I only realised the other day that
I can't.
Nearly every place I go now, I've got the ability to just listen to music. Whereas, like, even when I was a kid, I didn't have the ability to. Like, having a Walkman was huge. Like, being able to choose your music, or have that with you. Listening to a radio on the go. Was there many? Like, the wireless was, wireless, but was there much in terms of you being able to take a radio with you somewhere, the same way that we do now, like a portable radio?
Not early on, but later they got little transistors.
Okay,
You could take them, put a battery in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was, how old do you reckon you would have been? 20s, 30s?
Gee whiz, that's something. I don't know. I know we had a record player, and when the girls got older, they loved to use it.
Okay.
And I've still got some. I wish I had all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Got a lot of big ones.
Well, they all disappeared and people weren't too fussed on them, and then they sort of come back again.
They're coming back now.
Yeah. People just, how do you say, they have like a raw sound to them, I suppose. Like they sound very straight from the source.
Slightly tinny.
Yeah, slightly tinny. Yeah.
But, no, we didn't. Doug and I didn't have any luxuries for a long time. long, long time. Have you got any more questions?
I'm just looking. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else on there.
But, yeah.
Not heaps, really.
I've had a lot of struggles in my life, and I've been abused.
Well, that's when you're saying about George and stuff, I'm like, all right, that's...
But he wasn't the only one. One of the neighbours that we had did too. And, it made me a bit... You know, when I got married, I never had, like I was a virgin still.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was hard for me to...
Be close to somebody.
Yeah,
I
that
could
close.
imagine that. Yeah.
But Doug was he was a very good husband.
Yeah. So, did he know? Like,
I did tell him.
Okay, so because that was one of
so
the things.
So he knew, he's the only one who knew.
Okay.
And I never told Dad. If Dad hadn't known what Uncle George did,
he would have,
I told Mum after Dad died, and Mum was so angry. And she said, I feel like going to Robin Bale and shooting him. Because that's what your father would have done. He would have belted him and then shot him. Yeah. And I said, that's why I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But it was a horrible, horrible experience. I was 15.
So 15 still.
And when I was about 12, two, but that wasn't much. He just kept grabbing my boobs and But when I was 15, that made me sick. Made me really sick.
There's the job that I do at the moment, the one that I did previously, like working with like younger kids, 15, or what am I working with? Say like 12 all the way up to like 25. So like still adults, but there is some of the stuff that I've heard from some of the 12-year-olds where I'm like, well, I've got to go and tell somebody about this because, these days, if I find out about something and I don't tell somebody, I'm in a lot of trouble.
Well, back then, I blamed myself.
Yeah.
I just thought it was my fault. And I said to George Adams, you touch me again and I'm going to go straight and tell Grandma. And he said, yes, and I'll tell her what a lying little bitch you are.
Yeah, it sounds about right for the times. Well, that's
but after that, he didn't do it again.
Okay.
He was scared I might tell Grandma. Because Grandma was the matriarch of the family. She was
still
the
held
one.
Some power.
Yeah, she had the power.
So that's where I wouldn't have thought, like, the way the rest of, like, this story especially is gone, but, like, you just hear about, like, way back when, it sounded like the blokes they were all the power. But
they got away with it.
They got away with a lot.
Because you felt guilty.
Yeah.
And also that I was scared I wouldn't be believed.
Yeah. But the fact that he stopped after you threatening to go and tell Grandma, that means that meant something to him, which means Grandma actually did hold him. She
was the boss.
Yeah.
She really was. Yeah. She was the one with the brains.
Yeah.
She was the one that helped her kids get land and all that sort of thing until she got old and had a stroke. But Grandma was the one in my life. Yeah. My parents never showed me a lot of love. There was always too many people.
Okay.
All of Dad's brothers, they'd all come and Mum would feed them all.
Yeah.
All the time.
Like there were, by the time you went from your mum down 2 levels, that's like 16 people because...
Yes.
Probably more. Like, it's like...
Every Saturday and Sunday, they'd all come and Mum would have to feed them.
Yeah. Well, if you're...
And Dad used to get angry about it, but it was because grandparents lived with him.
Well, if your dad had 4 brothers, I know that one died, but if your dad had 4 brothers and 2 sisters, then there's 7 kids. If each of them only have 2 kids... There's another 14, so you've got 21 altogether.
Most of them had more than 4, they had 6 or 7.
Yeah, so if you go, what's that, 7 by 6, that's a lot of kids to feed.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And they even had their golden wedding at that house. And I was married from that house.
But it didn't sound like many of them, so even though there's like 7 kids per, it didn't sound like many of them got past 40.
Auntie Lorna was in her 70s. She was the one who caused all the trouble. She was like Grandma. Was the one that was trying to a bit like Grandma. She was very intelligent.
Yeah.
And she was a bully. Grandma wasn't a bully, but Auntie Lorna was.
Okay.
And she made me my wedding gown. She made me clothes to wear, dances and things like that.
Okay.
But I worked hard for her, never got paid.
Okay.
She'd make me a dress. She'd make me a skirt or a dress or something as payment.
And that's so it's like a transaction. I'll do this for you. You've done this stuff for me.
Yeah.
We're even now.
But as the years went by and I saw what she did to Dad.
Well, the way you said that she was going to try to take Dad to the judge to suss out that. Yeah, I can see the sort
And she took her sister and 2 brothers too down there, and they were going to contest the will.
Yeah.
So they took the will down, and this judge just said, "There's nothing right. There's no way you're going to be able to get the property.
Yep.
There's no way because it's all legal.
So it sounds like your dad was smart enough that he set things up so it couldn't be...
Grandma was the one who set it up.
Okay.
She was the one who said, Ted gets the block, the others get money. Granddad just went along with it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like...
And he wasn't educated, but he was very, very, very good at the forge, fixing and making things.
Yeah.
But he wasn't clever.
Intelligent. He works with his hands.
And he was a drinker.
Yeah, so works with his hands.
Yeah.
Probably was quite switched on, but not very smart, yeah.
Back then they had a forge and a fire and...
Yeah.
Did it all...
Like horseshoes and
fixing
stuff
up ploughs and making things.
Okay. So
you know, my other grandfather made a hammer, which I've got.
Okay.
And it's all steel.
Yep.
And I said to Linda, I don't know who to leave it to. I just treasure it and I use it.
Yep. I reckon you've shown me it. I reckon like this hammer belonged to my grandfather's brother. Like it was, yeah.
It belonged to my grandfather. Yeah.
Okay.
And Dad's parents were lovely, beautiful. They were hard-working people, and they were German, very good Lutherans. And Granddad and I loved fishing together.
Okay.
Our dad would bring them out, and they'd have lunch, and he and I'd go and sit down the river with a line. We always caught fish. Mum would say, Lindsay, to Lindsay and I, do your jobs, do your homework, then grab the rods and go down and get fish for tea. We always caught fish.
That would have been nice. That would have been lovely.
Well, when I was born, Dad gave me a rod, a little rod.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Fishing was our life.
Yeah, I like that.
Doug and I too. We went fishing every weekend, and we caught a lot of fish.
Okay. Fishing,
camping, and music, my life.
That's okay.
And family.
Yeah.
Family first.
Yeah. The fishing, camping, and music. So do you still? Because I don't think I've ever been here with you having music going. Oh no, you had what's his name with the violin? I reckon you had him going.
Rouer.
Yeah,
Andre Rouer.
Yeah, Andre.
And Linda gave me Andre Bassetti. Is it Bassetti? The blind one.
The opera singer?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, you should hear that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And he sings it with lots of other people.
Okay.
And there's two.
Oh, it was like the tenors and stuff like
duets,
that. Yeah.
And all that sort of thing. Oh. And he's got 2 children, and they sing with him too.
Okay.
A son and a daughter. Beautiful. And I played it the other day, twice round. Just played it all day.
Yeah.
And Josh Brogan and Barbara Streisand, my favourites.
Okay. That's nice.
Mum introduced me to Josh Grogan. I went there one day and she had this beautiful voice going. Oh, Mum, who's that? She said, it's Josh Brogan. Haven't you heard of him? He's a singer. Yes. Mum used to pay her stereo a lot.
Yeah. Well, I wish I'd gotten onto Mona like 5 years ago. You know, like to do one of these, because I reckon 5 years ago she was still pretty...
Well,
she was still kicking pretty hard then in terms of like her brain, like in terms of being able to keep a conversation.
I asked Mum, it wouldn't be that long ago, probably 2 years.
Yeah.
What age was Grandma Adams when she come from England with her family, and what was her family? She said it was 1892, I think she said.
Okay.
Grandma was 6.
Yeah.
She had a brother, Thomas. He was about 11. Another brother, I don't know how old he was, and Auntie Hilda, her sister. Yeah. They came out from England when Grandma was 6. Okay. And Mum knew the date still.
Okay, so she was
1890.
Still, that was 2 years ago, she was still...
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was testing her and she said, what are you asking me that for? I said, oh, I'm just writing some things down at home.
Yeah, no, good.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. That's the sort of stuff that I'm looking to keep, like that sort of knowledge. Because it's like, you lose it if you don't write it down. Like, unless you're a, how do you say it? Unless you're some sort of historical figure, people don't write that stuff down about you that much. Like
no, but can you imagine this beautiful, curly, red-headed, fair-skinned woman marrying Jim Adams?
That's probably exactly why she came over. Like, you know, she didn't come over for that reason, but, you know, it's new country, different place.
She was an opera singer too.
Well, your grandmother?
Yes.
Yeah, wait.
Your
grandmother, your great-grandmother?
No, my grandmother.
Grandmother, that's right.
Dad's mum.
Yeah, that's right.
She in England, they were pretty the family are fairly well off, and they go to all the operas and all that sort of thing.
Okay.
When she come to Australia, she used to do singing at things, different things.
Yeah.
She'd sing, but not opera. She'd sing other stuff.
Yeah. I don't think that gene's been passed down. I've heard Chrissy singing in the shower. And she doesn't.
Well, I was
No, she hasn't sung in the shower. That's a lie.
When I came here, they had a choir.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what you said.
No, hang on. I was here a year,
Yeah.
and they decided to have a choir. So we scattered around, got all the people that liked to sing.
Yeah.
And that went until Marion died, that played the piano and was our teacher.
Yeah.
And that was just, I loved it. I was so sad when it stopped.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, we did a lot of going around nursing homes and all that sort of thing, singing. It was great. We used to go in the, what is it? At the art centre, we'd sing in some of those contests.
Oh, okay. Was it a Stedford's?
A Stedford.
Stedford's, yeah. I'm just trying. That's the, okay. Nice.
Our choir sang in the Stedford about 5 times.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
But Marion, our lady, she had a stroke and then she had a bad fall. She wasn't able to play the piano
Fair
anymore.
enough. She was, by the sound of it, what was holding everything together.
Oh, she was beautiful.
Yeah.
She was a very good coach. And she really taught us well.
So anything, like in terms of, because we've been planning on doing this for yonks.
Yeah.
We haven't actually, we finally got to it. Is there anything that you're hoping I would ask? Like anything that you're just like, oh, I want to talk about this?
No.
No?
No.
Anything like that?
I think I've covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I reckon
I'll
you
probably
have.
think of things later.
No, that's fine. We can always add stuff later on, but no. Because
But-
that's,
Yeah.
we've
That's
managed to
117 years old, that clock. It was Grandma's.
That's, keep that. Don't let that go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon it sounds like we've done anything. Like I've gone through.
Oh, I'll
most
think
of the
of
stuff.
things later.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that's a pretty decent. Well, thanks for chatting with me.
That's okay.
Yeah, this is good. I'm sure Chrissy will love it.
And I'll
Well,
probably
hopefully-
think a lot about what I've said and hope it's all right.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That-
That's
yeah.
that's
I
why I'm
had-
just like some things I'm like, oh, I'll ask more about that. I'm like, well, that sounds like something I don't want to put on a video. It's like, you
Well,
know,
I
like
probably shouldn't have said that about Uncle George.
No. The Uncle George stuff. It's one of those things where. Is it known among the family now? Like.
No. I told Mum
Yeah.
and Doug.
I mean down the family, not up the family, but down the family. Like, does Linda and Jane and Anne and that know about George, or not really?
I haven't told them.
Okay.
No.
So what I'll do then is I'll go through. I can get rid of that stuff out of here.
I think Jane knows. I think I told her.
Okay. Because if that's something that you don't want them to know, because
Oh, no. I want them to know. They
okay
need,
with that? Yeah.
They need to watch out for problems with them.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's fine. But that's
Yeah.
specifically
No,
one thing I wanted to make sure, because it's a sensitive topic.
Yeah,
so
it is.
I don't want to put that into this if you don't want to do
No,
this.
I
So-
haven't said it specifically
No,
what he
that's-
did, but
No, that's fine. So I can leave that in then.
Yeah.
I'll leave. No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure before.
yeah,
I go
no,
and do
that
that.
leave
So,
it there.
Yep.
People
At
need
least
to
that-
know,
Yeah.
but it's just a horrible, horrible experience.
Oh, 100%. Well, when you said that, I thought the reason why I was saying about the jobs that I've had is what I've got to tell people
Yeah.
is that when I've had the situation where something similar has
Yes.
happened,
Yeah.
and it's happened to quite a young girl, and I'm like, I've got to tell somebody about this. But the problem is that when those people go to chase that up, which it's their job to go and chase that up to say, something's happened to this girl, and the moment Dad finds out who the person was going to be, he'd kill him. That was like for me, I had
Yeah.
to sit there and go, okay, you've told me something.
My
I don't know that
father-
if Dad found out that that's who it was, he would go and kill him, which means that I've got to go and tell somebody now. And that the people that I've got to tell have got to go and follow this up and investigate it to see what's going on here. And when that starts happening, Dad's going to start asking questions. And when Dad puts 2 and 2 together, someone's going to die. That was very
Yep.
much, I understand completely why you never told your dad about George.
My
that makes
dad
so
and
much
I
sense.
were very, very close, and it was a shame that Mum and Dad couldn't say I love you because all these people were there all the time,
okay.
like relatives.
Yeah.
And Dad was working 8 days a week as well
Yeah.
on the block. But
Thank you.
Doug was really, when he was young, he worked so hard. I practically raised the girls because he was always out working.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that was pretty common still.
Oh, it was.
Like that was sort of the trade-off. It's like he has to go and work that much so that way you've got enough coming in to support everybody so you can, like, yeah.
I just noticed that he was drinking a lot more too when he was starting to get bronchitis all the time.
Yeah. That
coughing.
pain and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he started drinking, and he was drinking casks of wine and.
Yeah, that's I found that out when I started doing the drug and alcohol stuff. Is that alcohol, in terms of cancer, alcohol, that's where a lot of cancer comes from. Like alcohol's.
Yeah, and when he was in the hospital in Melbourne, and no, it wasn't Melbourne, Adelaide. He was in Adelaide. They sent him to a dietitian. And
they would have had fun with that when he said how much he was drinking.
Yeah, well, he didn't tell them that, but the doctor that he talked to said, "Don't eat pork, no pork, no bacon, no pork, no." Okay. It's the worst thing you can have if you've got cancer.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That was when he had the cancer.
When he had the cancer, yeah. Well, it makes sense with all the arsenic and stuff like that why all three of them got cancer. But the way that you're talking about it, Doug, was it your brother? Got lung cancer as well?
Yeah, Lindsay.
Lindsay, yeah. So Doug, Lindsay, and your dad, Ted, all got lung cancer.
Yep.
You said all three of them got pretty hard on the alcohol as well, didn't they?
I don't think
not so much Lindsay.
Dad and Lindsay didn't drink. Dad was a wowser. Dad didn't drink at all. Doug did.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Doug drank.
Doug drank and George
drank.
Oh,
too much.
That's who it was. Sorry, that's where I've got that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
But it's funny, one day, Uncle George was at our house and Dad used to give me work. Yeah. And it was one of the years when the vines just went mad. They just grew too much.
Yeah.
And what you had to do is your fruit gets sunburnt if all the canes are laying down. Oh, okay. So I used to go up and down the rows and roll them on over the fruit and chop off a lot of others with a big long knife, chopping knife.
Like a machete sort of knife.
Yeah, long, skinny, sharp.
Yeah.
And Uncle George was at the end of the row. Yeah. And he started getting his old fella out. And I walked up to him with a knife and I said, "You put that away or I'll chop the bloody thing off." I was 15 then. Yeah. I got really strong. Yeah. And I just said to him, "You come near me, I'll chop it off."
Yeah. That'd be very hard to explain.
Yeah. His wife would have probably got a bit of peace then. Yeah. Oh, my God. But when I was younger, I was too scared. Yeah. I was too scared.
Oh, fair.
And I hated it when he used to visit. He had daughters, and the oldest daughter told me once, Janet told me, that she protected her younger sisters from him. Now
that's because
that's
got to try
evil. Your own daughters, evil. It's nothing but evil.
No,
he was a mongrel.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's
absolute bastard.
There's one of the things, because he's the only one that we've talked about that come back from the war, and there's stuff that people who come back from wars, they do things that sort of break their rules, and then they never come back from it, and they start.
Well, he was in New Guinea and didn't have any problem.
Yeah.
He wasn't in any part of the war like Mum's brothers.
Oh, okay. So he didn't say that.
He was in New Guinea, and he didn't see anybody killed, or I know probably still stressful, but.
Okay, so that's an assumption that I didn't realise, because people do stuff and they don't realise that they can do things that are that bad. And for some people, it blows them out of the water. Some people can't deal with that. You know, people coming back shell-shocked.
Yeah, well, Uncle Mel had that Mum's youngest brother. Yeah. He worked in the Holden factory in Adelaide. Yeah. And one day he come to work and he just dropped dead. It was about 60, around about 60. Okay. And Mum's other brother, Uncle Ron, I helped Mum look after him. Yeah. We used to do his washing and everything. Yeah. And then he went into the nursing home that's not there now. Yeah. And I used to pick up his washing and do it because Mum couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, fair enough.
And he lived to 90.
So him and your mum have had a pretty good...
Yeah. And Mum is her age. Uncle Ron got to 99. Yeah. And he would have been 100 at the Easter, and he died a few weeks before. And Uncle Mel was about 60, and Auntie Jean, Mum's sister, they were very close. Mm. She was 92. She died. So, and Mum's parents were both in their 80s. And that was good back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very
80,
good.
80 was top
Yeah.
notch. So if you could make it, it's the similar way to your mum being her age now. Like your mum at her age now, that's a good stint for now.
Yes.
But back when her parents were hitting 80, like that was really hard to
It
get
was.
past 60. I'm pretty sure that the average age of death was like 58 or something like that. It was like high 50s, but
between 55 and 65,
Yeah.
I would say back then.
Yeah.
And that was normal.
Yeah. They reckon, this is a weird piece of trivia for you. They reckon that the first person who's going to live to 200 has already been born.
Really?
Yeah. So in terms of how
It'd
quickly
be
we're
in
going from, like
Be in the Himalayas in the good air.
yeah, probably, yeah.
It will.
But with how quickly our life expectancy is going up, it's gone from 70 to 80s to 90, like it's
Even
sort of
in
going
Australia,
up. Yeah.
there's a lot.
So they reckon the life expectancy is going up quick enough that the person who's going to live that long has already been born because it's going to keep going up by the time they get there.
That's right.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And people say to me, oh, you'll live past 100 because of Mum. And I just say, I hope not.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't seem like you have any intent on living past, Really.
At 80, now, my family is the most important thing to me now.
Well, fair enough, because all of your friends,
Yeah.
You don't have
My
as many of
girls
them
and
kicking
my
around.
family.
Yeah.
And even though Anne and I aren't close, she came round on Sunday afternoon to see me and she said, Mum, thank you so much for the hamper you gave me for Christmas.
Nice.
And she said, I've been round 5 times, but you weren't here. And look, this time I was up dusting in the bedroom and I didn't hear her come to the door.
Yeah.
And it was locked. Because if I'm not going out, I don't unlock it.
Okay, fair enough.
And I heard her car take off and I come screaming out here and yelled out and she come back. She said, this is the 5th time.
Well, there you go. That's, you wouldn't have known that she's been here all the other times.
But the other times I was out.
Yeah.
I had a doctor's visit and a few other things.
Well, that's why Chrissy's learned to always call you to make sure you're home before she rocks up, because I think she's been here a couple of times as well. And you've been
Yeah,
out.
she was.
You're very active for, like, it's not like you just sit at home and wither away.
Oh, no, I can't sit
still. You've got to stay,
still.
So I think that's one of the things. Chrissy said that your mum used to like journal a lot, like she'd do scrapbooking and journaling a lot. And
she's
that
written her life.
That's kept.
We've got the first 50 years. Golda and Lindsay and I all got the first 50 years.
Nice.
And Chris.
Yeah.
And then I think she's got it up to about 98, 99, second part.
Okay.
But now she can't hold it.
Yeah, it's a bit too much to.
But I'm wondering where that is, the last Golda, she'll know.
So that'd be very interesting.
And she's had it copied and given.
Yeah.
And tough life. They just lived in a tin shed when Mum was a kid. Just a tin shed out in the bush.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
At Mulcalla.
Yeah, that sounds much more spot on. When you said you had a dirt floor, I'm like, okay, that's
I
getting
did.
back a fair bit. Yeah.
And you know what? One night I was in bed, Mum and Dad and Grandma had gone to the picture theatre, and Granddad was babysitting, and there was a grumpy, horrible old man. And if Lindsay and I didn't get to bed and shut up when we should, he'd be screaming at us.
Yeah.
And I'm in bed this night and I heard a slither. Back door was propped open to let the air in because it was stinking hot.
Yeah.
And I'm just there in my little top and my little pants on the bed. I was about 9, probably 8 or 9. I did eventually get a proper floor.
Yeah.
And I'm on the bed and I looked down, I saw this massive snake, big brown, come in. And the light from the lounge was shining into my room. And I yelled out, Granddad, there's a snake here. Shut up and go to sleep. And I started crying, really crying.
Fair enough.
And he come out and he saw it. He got a shovel. It was 7 foot long.
Yeah. You
and he
stuff
killed
around.
it.
Yeah.
And he expected me to go to sleep after that. I had the horrors all night.
Yeah.
When Mum and Grandma and Dad got home, I told them and Dad said, oh, love, that wasn't nice for you. It's gone now. Don't worry about it anymore. It's gone. But I was always scared after that.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then Dad built 2 more bedrooms on the other side of the house, down the side. And I had one room and Lindsay had the other.
Yeah.
And by the time there was another big room that we kept for visitors, Chris Christine and Golda
Yeah.
shared that room. And when I got married, one of them went into my old room.
Okay.
But yeah, and there was a bathroom inside.
Yeah.
And Dad put a septic tank in.
Okay. Yeah. So he's still pretty handy. Like you had to do a lot of that stuff.
Oh
yourself.
yeah, Dad was handy.
Yeah.
Granddad could help with that.
Okay.
Yeah, he could do that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's where you said Granddad wasn't all that bright, but, it was rough, and doing a bit of hard labour that was his thing. Okay.
Drinking, he was a drinker too. Yeah. So,
all right.
and that was just my childhood was pretty tough.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It was. But Doug and I tried to make it the best we could for our girls.
Yeah.
I would have loved Linda to have become a vet because that's what she should have been.
Okay.
But she has always had government jobs.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, she's clever.
Yeah.
Anne's clever.
Yeah.
She's still got a government job.
Yeah.
Poor old Jane. She was a nurse till the back got broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris was a fully qualified nurse.
Yeah.
And she gave that up to work in a college.
Yeah.
And she ended up running it in in Sydney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Penrith.
Penrith. Yeah.
And then then they went to Canberra, and she did the same thing in Canberra, and she would have been on massive money.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
that's your sister.
Yeah, my younger sister.
Yeah.
And her husband was in the Air Force.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they would have been between the two of them. They would have been doing just fine.
But Tony was helping them unload up.
Wait, he was in the Air Force?
Yeah, he was.
When
It was in Malaysia when their first child was born.
I was going to say because the Air Force, if she's your younger sister, and 60s, 70s, 80s, there would have been plenty going on then for him to do.
There was.
So, yeah.
He was a draftsman.
Okay.
He drew all the tools and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were unloading a tank at the wharf I think it was in Sydney, and he was working there, and something happened and it fell on his fingers, right hand, and it chopped him off like that.
Oh,
chopped them off like that, and he didn't get any compensation.
Yeah,
that's
something that would be different these days. Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he can still draw and he can still hold a pen really well in that hand.
I think you learn after a bit as well.
Yeah.
I've seen people that, born without arms and the way they can use their feet and stuff.
Honestly, I meant to offer you a coffee.
That's fine. That's all good. No, that's all right. Well, I'll finish this up because this has gone very well.
It's not on now, is it?
Yeah, we've been.
Sugar.
No, well, this is the good stuff. You know what I mean? Like this is the you just talking about life and how things went. So I can finish that up.
Yeah,
done well.
I will never forget how Doug used to ride his bike. All that way, just to come and walk me,
6 miles.
Walk me.
I thought you meant how he used to ride it in terms of like, did he used to ride it in a funny way? But no. How he used to come all the way to see you.
Yeah, he'd ride the bike all the way to the house.
6 miles. That's 1.6 kilometres. So
it's a long way.
That's 9 Ks.
Yes.
That's
It was that at least or more.
9.6, I think.
He had a light on his bike.
6 times 6 is 36 plus. Yeah, so 9.6 Ks. Nearly 10 Ks.
He eventually bought a little car and it was brown and black. Oh, what sort of little car was it? It was a little ripper car. Yeah. Of course, being a mechanic.
Oh yeah,
he had it in good condition.
Yeah.
Oh, just a little car. Then later on, we got a Vanguard, a dark blue Vanguard, and we had to put the baby on the back seat, and Doug just made a tie from under the seat and over, so it wouldn't move. But you didn't have to have those.
No,
you just sat on the seat.
I've seen some of the old school things, which was like just a basket for the baby that you used to like hang over the back of the seat. There was one there was a dash one. I've seen the dash one that used to have like a baby seat that went on the dash.
Brad, back then you were allowed to put the baby in the basket on the seat with nothing.
Yeah, that's
I know crazy. How dangerous.
Yeah, mind you, there wasn't nearly as many people. Like we've got billions of people now, whereas there's less. Yeah, the cars weren't as safe, but from what I understand, the amount of drivers we've got on the road now, the amount of cars we've got on the road now is nothing like the amount of cars you used to have. Like it used to be a few people driving around, but
Yeah.
not trying to get on through 15th Street of them. All right, I better finish this up because otherwise we're going to get talking on to other things. So, all right.
Oh, my
If I
goodness.
hit stop on that.
Look at
Yeah.